My truth, honestly, is love. It's non-judgmental, and I make space for everything to be truth. And so that's my truth. And how I have shaped and become and open and gotten in touch with that. And I think that it's such a beautiful journey to just really align and connect to our truths. Have you ever been to the edge of the universe?
I experienced zero edge of universe.
Yeah.
It's very scary. That's why I never went back there. It's scary to have this type of expansion. And if your vessel is not ready, it's really a lot. How to even prepare for something like that? It's beyond logic, it's beyond word, it's beyond explanation. Nothing we can say can explain this.
We're talking about freedom and the 3D lane experience of the earth. But imagine that freedom where there's like actual nothing, like you're nothing and you're everything and you're nothing at once and there's no edge.
Hi, and welcome to the show. This is your host, Orion. Thank you so much for being here. If you've been listening to the show for a while, I really appreciate you. And if you're trying this for the first time, trying this podcast for the first time, thank you so much for trusting your intuition and being here. And I hope you'll enjoy and have a good time because today I have with me Manuela Welton. She is born in Bogota, Colombia. Manuela descends from a lineage of educators, artists, and writers. Her life's mission revolves around exploring human connectivity through ritual and healing. Endowed with remarkable sensitivities, she believes in the inherent empathic nature of all individuals. Her vision is to nurture this ability, guiding others toward deeper self-awareness and understanding of the world. So today we talked about this matrix, the nature of our reality. We talked about empathy, about healing and how to be your own healer and increase your own gifts. We talked about how we can stay grounded in a shaky world. And of course, how can we connect more to love? And now, without further ado, on to the show. Hi, Manuela, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Orion. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you. I mean, we just spoke a little bit, and I know it's going to be a very interesting and enlightening conversation. Before we begin, maybe you can share a little bit about yourself and how did you find your calling?
Well, it's a question I love to answer because the calling, I didn't find my calling, the calling found me. I often share that I wanted to act as a young girl. And, I was a young entrepreneur at age 6. I was making perfumes and selling them to my neighbors. And then I really, like, my passion was acting. And through life circumstances, I would find myself in the healing world and in the healing realms at a very young age. And it was nothing like I ever chose, but I felt like it was put on my path for a reason. I've never shared this before, but I was one time, one person read my hand and they said, like, wow, you jumped timeline. Like you were actually supposed to be this in this life, which was acting. And then your soul decided to skip a timeline. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. That actually rings true. So felt fascinating. Yeah. I guess we can do that. I didn't know.
That's super interesting because I studied acting when I was a teenager. And then I studied acting in New York later on in life for 2 years. And I really wanted to be an actress. And I guess my soul skipped that one too.
Well, it seems that we're in similar paths in your hypnotherapy work and your coaching work. Acting for me is shapeshifting. So it makes sense that it actually correlates with the healing world a lot because in our line of work currently, we shapeshift into who we work with in some way. So it's similar. It makes sense.
Why do you think your soul chose healing?
I have different ideas of it. One idea I've played with, in many, I have seen a parallel reality of my soul, or we don't know the truth on this. I don't know if it's past lives. I don't even know if past lives really fully exist, or if it's parallel, or if it's our ancestry. whatever it is, I've been shown many iterations of what I've done in my life. I have been shown a lot around my throat, as I'm sure you have because you're doing this podcast. But I sense like somehow my soul has come back often to learning about the psyche and the human soul. And it's like what fascinates me the most, just learning about humans and how we work and who we are and what makes us who we are. And what a better way to learn about it than to work with it and see it and feel it and experiment it. I mean, I often also share that I was born, as we all are, born with gifts. I was born with the gift of really feeling. Like my feeling is turned to 150, and I can feel, we all feel, but I can really feel a person, and I feel anything from broken bones to emotional clogs to all of that. So I sense that because I was given this way of being, then I was also given mentorship to work with it and then help other people. I feel like we're given who we are and how we present ourselves in the world and who we work with.
Did you work with somebody and you knew that their bones were broken? How deep do you go into the body? Like, what exactly do you do there?
Well, most people come to me to ask, like, they want to learn how to do that, and I just don't know how to teach it because that's why I feel like I was born with this ability of feeling. Like, I remember being a young child and being with my best friend at that time, and we were playing with this, with like this feeling of feeling, right? So as we were around somebody who had broken a bone, and we could feel it in our body in the way that like we were feeling a broken bone in our own body. So it was like something that I had at a very, very young age. I think my best friend at that time had it too. And I remember I just came to realize, like, in my family system, I would feel things, but then I would be told differently. And so that would create a field of confusion because I could feel something and then I was told something. And so I was confused because I was feeling differently. So at a very young age, and then I living in New York, for example, in the train, I can feel when somebody has broken a bone or when there's a heartbreak, when, people are caring. So this is just something that I have, like, just, I just found out there's a word for it. I don't know exactly the word, but we can look it up. But just like clairsentience and clairvoyance and clairaudience, but there's an actual word to what I'm talking about. It's a specific type of autism, actually, and you just feel more than most.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's am-
Yeah. I actually just learned that other people have it, which is great. It doesn't make me feel that alone. But it's a low grade autism. So you're feeling a lot.
So do you get overwhelmed when you are around people, or do you put some shields of protections around yourself?
When I was younger, I would get very overwhelmed because I didn't know what was happening. So it was like all this input information feeling. Now I know what's happening, so I can deflect, and I have a very quick processing of who is what, and so I can put out different, not it's not shields, but the acknowledgement of where it comes from immediately releases it from my body.
And you studied many modalities. What do you use the most?
Uh, Depends on who I work with. So I don't necessarily, I think energy healing is one of the biggest, but because that one was what I studied first. But I go anywhere from constellations to hypnosis, intuition. I play with all the senses, and it just depends on who I'm working with. So I don't sell a specific program, but I really work with the person. For you, I can see how you see. It's like it's so clear to me. Like you so are seeing someone, and you can see, and then you go from seeing to feeling. Is my feeling. And then you feel. So we all have different abilities and gifts and superpowers.
Do you feel that is different when you do one-on-one in person or remote?
Yes and no. I think what the one-on-one in person does is it really, you can connect physically, which is something different. You can touch, which is different. But remote is just as powerful. Actually, for me, it's interesting because you can go deeper, believe it or not. remote because I can, like, I'm in my own space and I can fly and get more information than I would if I was actually feeling in person. So it's just different. It's different.
Yeah. When you're healing someone, what are the type of things that you've helped heal? Maybe you can share some stories.
Yeah. Well, I started really stepping into, I've studied it since I was 14, 13. Energy work, intuition and all that came in earlier, but energy work I started very young. And then I started professionally, like I started my practice when I was 17, 18. And so I've worked with thousands of stories and things. And, I've worked anywhere from cancer to just, relational healing, breakups. I have worked with helping and supporting, as I said, broken bones. And anyway, we go past iterations of souls. When I work with somebody and I put my hands on them in their energy field, I get visions and images, and usually it kind of really resonates with the person. So I have that ability to see also, and that supports somebody in looking and seeing, wow, okay, they've been carrying this for a long time, whether it's through their ancestors or through, again, past or parallel lifetimes. And so it just depends. So yeah, many different things I have worked with, but I currently am working with babies and bringing babies into the world, which has been so fun. And I love it because how I do that is I have a lot of women come to me with infertility, and then the baby shows up and the baby tells me what they're needing to do. And we shift a few things, and suddenly they're pregnant. And who are they pregnant with? Exactly the baby that came to me. Gender, everything. So it's so fun, and it's been one of my greatest and experiences.
That's amazing. Maybe you can share a story about a baby and like how did they find out that the baby was exactly the same baby?
The most recent one, and one of my favorites, it's the person came to me, had just a miscarriage. And then we really visualized this baby. We just, because I was feeling the energy, I was feeling the name, I was feeling all of it. And 3 months later, she messages me, it's this gender, it's this name, it's this. And it's like, okay, but it happens all the time. So that's one story. I had another story of an energy of a koala came to me, like a baby koala. It was like, and then when the baby was born, she shares, oh my gosh, it's a koala, because she looks at the tree all the time, and she even kind of feels energetically like a koala, and she likes to do like that. So it just depends. Every baby is different. I love the energy of babies. It's just beautiful to work with. Um, yeah, each one is different, but they're all just, that's how it works. I get images, I get feelings, I get the gender, usually a 90% of the time I get the gender. I've had energies of babies where I tune into a female baby, but it actually is a boy. And sometimes it can be a more feminine energy. But that's like a 10% of what I work with. Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you think that every woman should connect with the spirit baby prior to conceiving, or that it will help every woman who is experiencing infertility?
Uh, Yes and no, not necessarily. It's something that I do, and I think a lot of, so my work is mainly word of mouth. I don't share or market what I do because, I shared the other day, I started working when I was 18 years old. I was working with ages 60, 70, 50 years old. I don't know. That's just what was coming to me. I never looked at, this was who I wanted to work with. But the older I get, the younger the woman gets. And it's like, I'm sure that when I'm 60 and 70, I'll be working with teenagers, kids, maybe babies, who knows? I'm just trusting. And I just really, in this line of work, I really trust. And so I'm not exactly sure where I was headed with that, but I just, whoever comes to work with me, I think is just, that's what they're needing to do. But I don't necessarily think like this is the way you need to be working. It's just usually I think people get called to work with me for a specific reason, or they do want to connect with babies. But I don't, I think that it's a beautiful way to bring in a child is to connect with the spirit of the child that's near you to come in. I think it's a beautiful way, but I don't think it's the way. I just invite people to do it.
What was a defining moment in your life that got you on this path of healing?
So as I shared, I think earlier on in life, I knew I was different than most of the children that I was playing with in the playground. Like I just was very different. I could see, feel, hear. I often share the story of when I was little, like my grandparents, I would have tea parties with my grandparents and they would tell me things and share things and laugh. My grandparents were dead, but I could see them. So I had that experience at an early age, and I was a twin, um, and I would have an imaginary friend that looked just like me at 6 years old. My twin passed in utero. Like I had this experience of imaginary friends who weren't imaginary; they were spirits, and so I always had this growing up, and never was told that was different. I just felt like everybody had this. And a defining experience is when my parents actually passed when I'm 15, 18 years old. And that's really what just, there's no going back. This is just how life is now. An initiation, a place where I find that the veil between spirit and life is so thin, and that there is a vast amount of emotion in my body that I have to deal with. Like I could either ignore it and go south, or I can start working with it, heal myself, and then support other people through their grief process. And choosing that, then I get shown all these mentorships and teachers and experiences that help me just kind of grow this work and who I am with a lot of trust, with a lot of trust.
Yeah. What are some teachings that you remember from your mentors? A word, a phrase they said that kind of stuck with you?
Well, the one that's coming to me, it was my first like experience with Reiki when I was 13, 14, way back when nobody was talking about it, right? Nobody was saying, like, Reiki was really not something like it is today. But yeah, that teacher always said, like, everything is energy. Everything is energy. And I just rippled, like, everything is energy. Most people ask, like, how do you do the work you do remotely if you're not with the person? Where it's all energy. So we can make contact with another person through that energy, right? Water we drink is energy, right? So if we pour good intention and positive thought and we drink it, we become that energy. So just seeing everything as that energy and not forgetting that that's what we are just supports like in creating visions and manifestations and vibration and frequency. Everything we think is energy also.
Yes, because it's been proven over and over again through quantum physics. I think one of the coolest movies that I saw about it was "What the Bleep Do We Know?" It's an older movie, but it's a really good one, and he does explain how two cells in two different sides of the world can react to the same information. Like you inform a cell on one side of the world, and then the other one on the other side of the world reacts because we are connected. It's all about, the energy, the field, the matrix that we're in. And how do you think healing works in healing the body? Like what when you send your when you do healing, do you heal from your own body or do you ask for divine guidance to send the healing light to the person? And how do you think it works? Do you have guides with you, spirit with you? How does it work?
I'm going to answer this question as of right now, and I think it changes all the time, but I'm tuning into our energy together and I'm feeling this, so I'm going to go with it. And I think it's really beautiful to feel that we are part of that divine guidance. So I'm seeing it currently in this moment. I see it as a loop, like an infinity loop of sorts. Like we feed that divine guidance and then it comes through us and like it's all part of one same energy vibration, right? So it's like I can go and seek for outside source and guidance and energy. And yet, by the way, I'm looking up, but actually often we don't think about that energy coming from the earth and working with the earth. Often we're looking at that divine guidance from above. And it's just really beautiful to also work with that energy of the earth and help that energy come through us again. So it's all together, right? The earth, we're channels, we're vessels of energy between the earth and above, and how we work with all of that and that energy around us and what we tune into as the guides. But we are the guides and we are the earth and we are that. So we're all part of that same frequency and vibration. Again, it can change, but I'm feeling that right now as we're talking about it.
Yeah, so you're talking about non-duality and us as an expression of the whole universe. I still feel like in my meditations there is quite a duality where like I'm getting something from source energy, even though I'm a part of source energy, where I do imagine white golden light coming from a source in the sky, washed into my body, all the way to the core of Mother Earth, but then coming back up and connecting. So those two sources are connecting together. Similarly to what you described. I mean, I had experiences of non-duality where I was just everything. Um, but most of my spiritual experiences was, and in this world, I feel like it's easier to be in duality, to not get lost because we are, we're like Windar says, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and while we're in this body, there is duality. There is, the body and then the external world. If somebody wants to connect and try to heal themselves or heal somebody else, where do they start going? What are the first steps?
Their hands. Wait, but before we go to that, can I go back to your thought really? Because I will go back to where people can heal themselves, but I totally agree. Have you ever been to the edge of the universe? I mean, I know that
I
there's a layer.
I experienced zero edge of universe.
Yeah, right.
Like there was no edge.
There is
There was
no edge.
nothing.
That's where I was headed. And the one thing I'll say with that is I feel that most people fear that that expand that level of like nothing.
It's very scary. That's why I never went back there. Because it's scary to have this type of expansion. It's a lot, and if your vessel is not ready, um, it's extremely a lot. And how to even prepare for something like that? It's beyond logic. It's beyond word. It's beyond explanation. Nothing we can say can explain this.
I can actually feel it in my heart right now because it feels very expanded. It feels like, wow, freedom. Like there's a layer of freedom. We're talking about freedom and the 3D lane experience of the earth. But imagine that freedom where there's like actual nothing, like you're nothing and you're everything and you're nothing at once and there's no edge and there's just a black void. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, like that's how much energy there is in this planet.
There is a lot of energy. Yes, it's infinite.
Yeah, because I feel like I could go there with you, which a lot, I can't fully go there with a lot of people, but with you, I could sense you've been there before. And I think it's
You know what? I had a hypnotherapy session where I took somebody that is extremely spiritual. She's extremely successful, and like she is one of those mavericks human beings, really like one in a million. And when I went to, so I know there are hypnotherapies where you go through childhood, and that's kind of what I do. And then some people go to different lifetimes. There is this book, Many Life, Many Masters, where
one of my
it,
favorites.
yeah, where people go in different lifetimes. But with her, I don't know how we got there, but we got to core of creation. It was quite wild. I'm not going to go into that, but it was so wild. And in the midst of all that, I had like a scary moment where I was like, "Huh, how can I hold this amount of energy?" And then I just took a deep breath, which is what I do when I do sessions. I mean, if something is challenging, I just take a deep breath and I'm like, okay, guides, God, connect. And I knew what to do. And it was an amazing experience where I think it was 2 hours and I myself left the session elated.
I can feel that energy right now as you're talking about it.
Yeah, some people some people are wild, especially when they're allowed to be free in a trance state. Yes. So let's go back to healing, and yeah, for the people who are listening and they're like, "Wow, that's amazing," and I want to know how to heal myself, and I want to know actually how to go to those places, and I want to know what's in it for me. Like, how can I help myself now listening to this?
It's a beautiful intention. And I always start with, as I said, we all have different gifts and we all have all of them. And some of them are a little bit more open than others. And it's just getting curiosity is really important. I always say curiosity and trust. So trusting yourself, trusting that you have it, knowing that you have it. And, these hands and the feet are channels and vessels of energy, right? So if you put your hands right now in your heart, you can feel a certain heat or cold, right? So if it feels cold, it's more connected to a feminine energy, not gender, not women or men, just feminine. Warm, it's masculine. And so it's just trusting that.
I'm apparently very masculine right now because my hands feel like they're on fire, and I don't get it during interviews. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? Why is it so hot?
We're opening that energy. We're feeling. I mean, I could in our connection. I feel what we're bringing in. I often get this in pot. It's like we're moving a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy moving through us, and so it's and you probably have these open, right? And so there's a lot of energy coming through, and so you can use that. I can feel that you want to bring that maybe to your throat, right? Like there's energy that wants to move in your throat. And, so you just kind of focus that energy and like really put it whatever it is, like I'm putting in my throat, but you can put it in your head, wherever you want to focus that energy. And then you just visualize whatever it is, your prayer or your intention of that energy to move, right? So if you're I feel like currently right now, a lot of people are going through it. I can feel it in my work. I feel it with my friends. I feel it with my family, and so it's just like bringing your own energy and a breath, as you beautifully said, and you're inhaling and you just have the intention to clear anything that's not yours or bring in more love or bring in more attention and presence into your body.
I feel like a lot of people are heartbroken with the state of the world. Doesn't matter if you're, on the right or on the left or what your opinions are. There is so much divide, like people are divided and they're wars, and it just feel like so much turmoil, and then social media and AI revolution. There are so many changes and so many, like, I feel like, the edge of the universe. This is kind of like we feel like we're on the edge.
Hmm. You would feel like we're on the edge, and yet it's this that's keeping us from feeling the oneness of the energies of whatever that edge is, right? It's that when I tune into, and absolutely, of course, like we're here and this is what's happening and there's heartbreak. And when I feel into the energy of the polarization and division that is happening, it's a very mental energy. It's very up in the mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. People are not in their body and they're not in their hearts. Because if they take a moment to be in their hearts, you won't have those crazy extreme.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, like whoever's dying is dying and the death is death no matter where you're from. It's like looking at the human life as a human life. It comes from a heart energy. Like it comes from a deep caring of a human life. And often I share, like, planet Earth is the heart energy. It's love. It's we were shared at the beginning of the call, right? Like, what are you passionate about? Your family. Like that is Earth. Family, love, connection, community, gathering, food, like being there for your neighbor.
I think if we look at when we're older, we look back and we think about the things, like the moments that we think about, most of them will not be the award or the book or the political activism. It's gonna be like the people you love, the beautiful moments you share, the proud moments you share, the sexy moments you share. Those are going to be the things that are the most important, and I think those things can ground us. Good friends can ground us. People that we love can ground us. The earth, like touching a tree, and you can touch a tree and ask for the tree. You actually ask for permission from the tree to give you some energy from the earth. And when I do that, sometimes I just, I take off my shoes, I ground my feet on the ground, and I will touch a tree and I'll feel the energy soothing me. I often go to the beach to just calm down and reset, because our connection to nature and our connection to our body, our connection to our loved ones, those are the real things, not the manipulation we see online and on social media. This is the Maya, this is the illusion, this is the matrix, this is the division. And in order to heal, we need to come back to our own core, our own hearts, and ground and connect.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, when you talk about teachers and what they have shared with me, one of my elders, she's 82, and she always says it always comes back to our own garden. Tend your own garden before you can tend the world. And this year for me, on my birthday last year, I really made the intention of showing up for the people I love, which is, I can count that in maybe 3 hands. And I realize, as you're sharing, if I'm not showing up for the people I love, how can I show up for the rest of the world? Like it starts there. Like it starts in tending our own garden. It starts within ourselves. And what is the polarity happening within you before you step into the polarity happening in the world? Imagine if everybody was taking care of themselves. Where would we be energetically?
Mm. We might be heading that way though, because talking about polarity in the universe where there is opposites of black and white and kindness and meanness and all that, the expansion that we see on social media is showing us mostly the darkness. But because it's like a yin yang, the more we have darkness, the more we have light. It's just not on the media, so we don't see it, but there are a lot of good people that are doing a lot of good things. And there are a lot of amazing inventions and good people with good hearts and acts of kindness that are happening every day.
Yeah, and the yin yang will be forever. That's what we're here to experience in this planet, in this plane, in this earthly way of being. And I think of the Tao Te Ching. I love that book. I have it in my altar, and I just turn to a page every day. Polarity will always be. There's no clearing out the dark, black, call it whatever you want to call it, or because without it, as you say, there's no light. Or there would be, well, and it's probably an edgy thought. Most people will say, like, no, I believe in heaven on earth. And yes, but even back in the day when there was heaven on earth, there was tribal wars, right? There was, you name it. There's always been the experience of, I think, in some way experiencing hardship and heartbreak. That's what we're like. Who in the planet hasn't experienced that before?
Yeah, that reminds me of a quote, which I'm sorry, I don't remember who said that. That history maybe doesn't repeat itself, but it definitely rhymes. And there's nothing new under the sun.
And we're all experiencing our own truths, right? And that's why we started. It's like, I'm going to experience life with my eyes, with my vision, and it might not be what other people are experiencing. And I just think we have to come into a acceptance that we're all going to experience life in a different way. And how do we make space for somebody's reality and it being okay? Like there's space for all of our realities to coexist somehow, I believe, unless you're harming someone, which I mean, and we'll get into that at some point. But I think harming people is not, anyway. Yeah, it's a whole different way. Compassion.
So far as somebody is listening who wants to learn how to connect to their intuition and their own healing source, what can they do today?
Trust yourself. Trust. I think often a lot of people that come to me to ask like how to do this, I say you already have it. Play with your knowing, you already have it. And it's just about trusting your gut feeling, your instinct, your knowing. I share with, you play with it so you can ask questions. Maybe have somebody ask, like, did I have tea or coffee this morning? And you just go with the first thing that you feel in your body. Well, it depends if you're cognizant, you'll feel it in your body. If you are clairaudient, you'll hear it. If you're clairvoyant, you'll see it, right? So you can start asking questions and then going with that gut instinct that like, ooh, that's the first one. Don't second guess it. It's the first thing you felt. But you have to really work on the level of trust within yourself to really feel or see or hear what it is. And I think that the more we trust our knowing and the more we trust ourselves, the more opening we have for our own intuition to come online.
Yeah. I had I had to have to trust my intuition, even because every time I went against my intuition, things didn't turn out the way I want them to turn out. And even now, like I saw like a place that we were thinking about moving into, and on paper everything looks good. But when I looked at my intuition and I asked, I saw a big X. And I asked 4 times and I saw a big X. So I'm like, okay, maybe I'm tired. I'm just gonna sleep on it. I woke up in the morning, I asked again, and again it was a big X, like don't go there. So it's quite hard to trust it and not do it because we were looking for a while. But I'm gonna trust it because I know that it's coming from somewhere and I have to trust my intuition.
Remember what I said earlier? You're a seer. You you see things. You see things, right? So that's that X. Like trusting that you're seeing that, right? Some people would like it would actually for me it would be like a literal like an X, but like in my body, like I would feel it like that, right? So trusting when you see things because you see things.
Yeah. Sometimes I see, sometimes I hear, sometimes I feel, but mostly see.
I can feel it in your eyes as you're looking at me. You're seeing through my soul. I think you have we don't know each other fully, and we're getting to know each other. You have a super strong BS meter. You can see through people very quickly. I can feel that as you're looking at me.
I, well, you got me. You got me. You know what? I went to the gym and I met this guy that works there, and he shook my hands and I felt his hands. I'm like, he's a trainer. I'm like, do you do massage work and body work? He's like, yeah. How did you know? I was like, I just know. I get it. I get those things.
Yeah, you get those hits. You get those. You see it. You see. Because for me, I can't see that you see me, but I can feel through your eyes seeing me that you can see me, and you see straight through me. And that's. I mean, I have no problem with that because I don't hide anything. Like you go ahead, look at. I'm an open book, but I feel like a lot of people get intimidated. Like that.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I intimidate people sometimes. Like sometimes people think that I'm all like nice and sweet, but sometimes I can be intimidating. And let's again, it goes back to duality and accepting all parts of yourself. Because when you accept the duality within you, it's not an obstacle anymore. A lot of time when people have like darkness and try to shove it, then it will just come up and like try to.
Particularly with people like you, because they'll project it onto you. You become you become that darkness for people. They see it through you, is what I'm feeling. Like it's like oh, you become a mirror for them, right? Like you're seeing them, seeing themselves.
Yeah, well, is there a way to like not intimidate people and kind of like to tone it down?
My question would be so yeah, so even in, like as you're looking at me, there's a low level intention to see me, which is beautiful. And I'm really open to that. Sometimes people don't want that. So it's like turning that off. And then you can actually your eyes are like softer and then they won't go in. Does that make sense?
I'll need to turn. I'll need to find the off button.
Just try, you could just be like, I'm just seeing you because I want to be with you, not necessarily because I want to see through you. But you can just like, you can place the intention, and then the eyes will soften. Intention is everything.
Yes, I interviewed Donnie Epstein. He's like he's a real life magician, and he touches people from far away, and their body starts moving and connects them to different realms. I actually think that he's really not of this world, and we know when he was a kid, he couldn't see faces in photos, just energy signatures. And then he had to train his mind to actually recognize people through photos. And because he's got such big energy, he would really intimidate people. And he learned how to, he trained himself to bring the energy into him and up. So he doesn't like overwhelm people. That said, there were many times in my life where I tried to be small and minimize my power so I won't intimidate other people or make them feel uncomfortable with who I am. And then I got to a point where I minimized it so much that I forgot who I was and I was not owning who I am or my power because I would just wanted to please everybody. And then I had to go through a journey of reclamation. And I think throughout life we go through like kind of like we lose our power, we gain our power, we lose our power, we gain our power. But eventually for myself got into the realization that it doesn't matter. You show up as who you are with your gifts and everything that you are. And if somebody doesn't feel like you're the person for them, that's still very much okay because then you're left with the people that are right for you, whether it's friends or clients or even family members. Dimming who we are does not help the world, especially in this time, in this world. It's about shining our light the brightest. And if somebody's get blinded by this light, that's okay. They're not ready. And maybe in a couple of years, 3 years, 4 years, they come back to you and they're going to be like, oh my goodness, you changed a lot. It's actually not you. It's they're ready to be.
It's beautiful you share that, and I absolutely agree. I think, I have had that as well. It's how do you become complacent to somebody else's thoughts, opinions, visions, and then you make yourself small and small and small and small. And or you go back to the shape shifting, right? We go back to the acting, like the becoming our surroundings. And so you just become a fly on the wall versus shining your light and moving.
My goodness. As an Aries, I have the abilities to mimic every environment. Like even like, I lived in Japan and I came back and people told me you look Japanese. Like, really? I don't look Japanese as much because I'm not in that environment. But I feel like if you're an Aries or a person that has the ability to shapeshift, you can shapeshift so much to cater to other peoples and other circles that you're like, wait a minute, who am I? Who am I really? And then you have to go into your own internal journey to find that again, again, and again, and discover more of who you are.
And I think there's a lot of people out there that have that ability and don't even know it and have become their environment. So it's like asking yourselves, like, are you in the environment that really serves you and suits you? Or are you something else that is needing to shine bright? And I think it's like absolutely what you're saying in some way that like people fear to speak their truth. It doesn't mean it's somebody else's truth, their truth for fear of hurting others or it not being accepted or rejected. I mean, I've been in this dance for a long time of like feeling like I can't share my truth because of fear of being killed because that was actually what happened to my dad. Like it's in my blood, it's in my body. My dad's like wrote, yeah,
Oh,
sorry, I twisted that, but it's like my dad spoke his truth out to Colombia. It wasn't accepted. It wasn't. Now it is, interestingly enough, after it, but I know, and he was killed for it. And so
I'm so sorry for your loss.
no, but it's thank you. And like, it's like, and then most people, for example, currently in the world are like, why are you not speaking about this? And it's like, it's not because I don't want to speak about it. And it's not because I don't care about it. It's because it's actually a lived experience in my body, previous lives, previous iterations. If I speak the truth, it's dangerous, right? So how do we, and I've been working on it a lot and a lot and a lot, as you're saying, right? How became my environment. And then it's like, okay, now I get to like really speak my truth. And my truth, honestly, is love. Like it's a frequency in my heart where it's non-judgmental, and I make space for everything to be truth. And so that's my truth. And how I have shaped and become and open and gotten in touch with that is what exactly the journey you're on. And I think that it's such a beautiful journey to just really align and connect to our truths, to and sharing it, because one person is going to connect to it, and then they're going to feel inspired to share their truth, and then it's just going to become.
Yeah. And sometimes it feels like in this world, it's really dangerous to speak your truth because then people will literally try to kill you for your truth. Like, and then what? But we can never be silenced to our truth because we owe it for the world and for our kids. I mean, what are you gonna tell your kid? Oh, mommy was too afraid, daddy was too afraid. Um, I'm sure you're really proud of your dad.
Yeah. Yeah. And at the same time, I often wonder, like, okay, what if that hadn't happened? Would we all still be together, right? Like, as family.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Like that level of courage. I'm proud of him, and it's a level of courage. I'm wondering is like, it's a question, it's an inquiry. It's not like right or wrong. It's just, like it was, yeah, it was needed for him to just share because he was a truth teller, and was it worth his life? Was that worth his life? Maybe. Yeah. I think it's important to have truth tellers. I think that's what keeps. But then I can also make space for the people like me that are wondering, like, what is your truth? And it could be an entire experience and a journey to like get there because of the shape shifting. There's so many thoughts and so many people thinking thoughts and voicing opinions. And then you're like, whoa, that feels true. But wait, that does, it's the sermon. That's not mine. That's not mine. That's not
It goes
mine.
back to hugging a
And then
tree. It goes back.
it's not not the point.
Just
I
hug a tree.
think that's the point. That's the ultimate truth. It's true. Thank you. I'll do that tonight. I'll see what that yeah.
What are your 3 top tips to living a stellar life?
Whew. Well, going back to your truth, right? Living in your truth, compassion, compassion for other stories and space for others, particularly for yourself, and curiosity and imagination. And yeah, so truth, love, compassion, and curiosity and imagination. And I think experimenting like different role, like playing with life, not staying to one thing, trying different hats on, trying different ways of being on. What would it be like to be something different today? And just playing.
I love that. And before we say goodbye for now, do you have any other things that you want to share, final words? And then where can people find you?
Well, I just feel like I'm swimming in this really beautiful energy, and I hope that whoever's listening can feel it and just be in this. I can feel it. It's just so it's a wave of energy of love. I can feel that. And so whoever's going through hardship or hard times like that, like this is also a point of access to be within yourself and just, taking those moments for yourself with yourself so that you can show up better for your family or your community. And I just feel whoever is listening can tune into this energy. And you can find me on my website, which is my name and last name, manuelawelton.com, or in my Instagram as well, which is Manuela Welton. And yeah, happy to be of service, connect, and thank you for this beautiful time. I really feel it.
Thank you, Manuela. And thank you, listeners. Remember to live your truth. Have compassion for others and for yourself. Keep your curiosity, imagination, and love, and play with life. This is Orion. Till next time.